Hello, everybody. Brian Tulsa here. This vlog is for everyone, but a special shout out to John because he gave me the idea for this vlog. Hi, John. This vlog is about my history of making content for the internet, especially YouTube. First rule of making content for the internet: stay on topic. But before I talk about that, I wanted to talk about a music project that I have that I have been neglecting. It's something that John helped me with, but I haven't even been able to look at it for a couple of months. And it's just because I'm doing this stuff. I'm working. I've got two screens going here that you can't see right now because they're off camera. So I'm working and talking because I have to. Uh, this will pass, and I will turn my attention toward creative projects again. I kind of have to because for that particular music project, Marianne, who is not sitting over here because she's in school, she has a school project of making an album cover for that project. She's got a really cool idea for an unconventional album cover. I think it'll be a lot of fun, but she needs me to do my part so she can do her part. And it's for school, so there's a deadline. So I kind of have to turn my attention to that, and I will. But for those who have helped with it, including John and others, thank you. I haven't forgotten. I really, really want to get back to it. I just haven't been able to. Vlogging, creating content for the internet. First rule: stay on topic. I want to talk about my history. How did I start doing this in the first place? Well, in the early days of YouTube, I just started watching videos like everybody did, and it was YouTube, right? So people would take their shitty little webcams and their really cheap digital cameras that had really poor resolution, and they just start making videos like this, talking to the camera. And this was revolutionary for the time. It's not the first time anybody's ever done it, but it was a way to actually reach an audience. The audiences back then were not that big, but I was fascinated by the medium and I wanted to participate. And at the time, there was a growing atheist community on YouTube, and I thought that was really interesting, and I wanted to be a part of it. So I made a couple really bad videos that were really uninteresting, with just talking to the camera about topics that were popular and supposedly important at the time, but everyone has completely forgotten about by now. That got very little attention, but I enjoyed doing it. After that, while I was in college, I started a like a web magazine for political topics. I was I was a political science major, so I was studying those topics. So I would get various writers, other students, professors, just people with some expertise or skills to write articles for it. And I decided to do a video version of that. It was called Grindstone Journal. So my first channel was the Grindstone Journal channel. And it was pretty dry because it was academic. I was reviewing topics that were the kind of things that you would discuss in a class, and this was very interesting to me. But it really wasn't designed for anyone outside of those interests, um, and that got a little bit of attention. But that burgeoning YouTube atheist community was calling, and I wanted to do topics more related to that. So I did some. I abandoned the Grindstone Journal channel. I started this channel, actually, the one you're watching right now, and I started doing some topics related to the questions of the time, the topics, the subjects that were hot at the time in that community. And while that was fun, my focus still was more on political science. And as I was approaching going to law school, my topics moved to law and the philosophy of law and those kinds of things. It was still fairly academic, but not quite as much as the first iteration, as the first try. It wasn't quite that dry, and that carried on, got a bit of an audience until a conservative guy, started making rant videos about me and somebody else. And the name of this channel is Brian Tulsa, but he couldn't say that. He kept calling me Byron. He kept misreading and mispronouncing his name. And no, I don't think that was intentional. I think that was his best shot at pronouncing my name. He also went after another YouTuber who uh, went by the handle of fiscal conservative, but he couldn't say that either. He kept calling him physical conservative. Well, that was Rob, whom I'm still friends with. Hi, Rob. We had a lot of fun with that. He changed his channel name to Physical Conservative. The user that was making rants about us, his channel name was Mystical Forest. I nicknamed him Fairy Nipples. We had a lot of fun with it. But then I also created a character called Byron Tulsa, who was like a hard-boiled 1920s detective. And I do these like noir videos where it's all black and white and gritty, and I'm downtown searching the back alleys for answers to uh, life's most persistent questions. And that was a lot of fun. And but it really wasn't my personality. It didn't fit my personality. My personality isn't usually isn't really geared toward mocking other people. And as entertaining that as that was, it was a bit mocking, and it just wasn't me. It was fun for a bit, but it wasn't me. So I kind of abandoned that. I went back to this, and then I was in law school, and I thought, I need a fresh start. I have all these videos. I don't know that I can go back and vet all those videos to make sure that I fully agree with everything that I said before. Um, I didn't want to take them down because one of the things I used to do is I would just be wrong about things. I would talk about things that were way over my head, um, because that's how I would learn. I would discuss topics and find out that there was more to it. There are other things that I need to look at, other books that I need to read, and through that process, I would learn. But that means that there's a lot of video. There were a lot of videos out there that where I was just wrong, where I was just saying things that I didn't fully comprehend. And I thought, well, okay, I'm 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 not learning in that way anymore. I'm getting a formal education. I am going to classes. I am studying the way it's meant to be done, and I need to take that approach to things, rather than the haphazard way that I was doing it before. So um, I took those videos down, the old videos, the Byron Tulsa videos, the Brian Tulsa videos. I deleted them from the channel rather than just making them private, because I had them backed up, right? I had them backed up on a hard drive. I had them backed up on a hard drive that I lost not long after, which means that there are no copies. I don't have any of the old Byron Tulsa videos, which is sad and disappointing because those were fun. And now, after getting my degree and getting my license and practicing law now for a number of years, I don't feel quite so bad about the videos where I was talking and kind of spilling my brain out about some topics that I may have been wrong about, but I was sincerely exploring and questioning. Well, first of all, it means that a lot of what I've created is lost media. It's just gone. And I can't even look back at it and see my own growth as a person, as a thinker, as a content creator, as an individual. I can't go back and look at that history. There's very little of that that still survives. And the little that still survives is on this channel, way, way, way down in the history, videos that you probably haven't looked at. But after that, I started collecting GI Joe action figures and vehicles from the 1980s. I did this because I was going through a fairly rough patch in my life, and I was looking for a hobby, looking for something that would be fun, that looking for something that in the past had been uh, an unmitigated joy, and that's what GI Joe was. And so I started picking it up, and I watched videos from Forum BX257, great YouTuber focused on vintage GI Joes. Given that I had a history of creating and editing videos in the past, I thought, I could do that as well. So I started making videos, um, but I was doing it in the really dry way that I would do my academic stuff. One of my mottos was something that I picked up from an old federal employees podcast, which was Dare to be Dull. Often the most important information that is conveyed is not the sexiest. Sometimes it's really boring. Sometimes people don't want to dig into the fine details of information that actually is a lot more important than the sexy stuff. So I went with the motto Dare to be Dull, and it was. And it remained so for a while. I started watching other YouTubers like Timmer on Half the Battle. Great guy, really, really good friend. And I started changing things up a little bit. I started, I don't know, just tossing in a little bit of humor, a little bit of my personality. And I started enjoying that a lot more. I wouldn't say that the audience necessarily grew very fast after that, but I started enjoying doing it more. And that enjoyment just kind of blossomed because, if you've watched this, if you watch my stuff for very long, you get my my sense of humor. You see my sense of humor. That's how my sense of humor is in person in real life. And I started figuring out how to translate that into video form. I started doing sketches. I started like doing costumes. Um, I started like basically any idea that I could come up with that I thought was funny. I could do it because it was my show and nobody could stop me. So there's a lot of goofy stuff that started to fit in there, but not everybody liked it, but I liked it. And I was enjoying the hell out of it. And doing it over and over and videos every week, coming up with ideas, doing those ideas, putting them together, figuring out how they're going to be shot and edited. It it helped me develop my online voice. That's something that a lot of people who don't create content may not realize is that you have a voice, but to translate that into what appears in a video, it takes time. It takes time for you to find your voice talking to this camera and into the microphone. And that just takes practice. You probably have something that other people want to see. You probably have something in your life that is interesting to a lot of other people. And getting on camera and talking about that is the first step to reaching out to those people. But it's not the last step, because doing this is different from sitting next to somebody and having a conversation. It's a different process. But once you get used to doing it, it becomes as easy as sitting across from somebody and having a conversation. I am having a conversation with you. I can't see you, but we're having a conversation. We're talking. It's awkward at first. Talking to, like, I'm sitting in a room by myself and I'm just talking to this device. That's weird. All on its own, that's weird. It can be awkward at first, but like with anything else, you do it and it gets easier and you get better at it. So, I guess that's my point. Remember, rule number one, stay on topic. If you would like to do this kind of thing, well, I mean, nobody's under any obligation to do anything, but if you would like to, my suggestion always is start. Start. Start with whatever you have. No, you won't have a lot of people watching at first. And that's so, you know what, that's not only is that okay, that's better, because what you're going to produce at first is not going to necessarily be very good. You got to get that stuff out of the way. You need the experience, and you will start making things that are good and that people do want to see. And you will find your voice. And by the time you get people watching, you'll be good at it. But you got to get that stuff out of the way first. You got to just do it. You just got to try it. There is no substitution for it. There are things that, I mean, I can give you tips, pointers, hints. I can talk to you about thinking in terms of how the video is going to be edited when you're shooting it. The person talking to the camera is thinking about the person who's going to be editing the final product. That is a skill. And if you're doing the editing, you will develop that skill. But you need to do this and then edit to understand what that means. So tips, pointers, I'm full of it. The number one pointer that I have is, if you're interested, start. Do it badly until you do it better. And whatever you do, when you think those old videos are bad and you don't want to look at them anymore, don't delete them. They can be lost forever.